Hi, and welcome back. I'm Callan Rush, of course, and you have done it. You've reached day 5 of the Launch Your Workshop Challenge. So congratulations, you're so close to the finish line. Don't quit before you cross that finish line. So today we have a really special episode for you. Today we're going to talk about the final step and of course the associated micro action that goes along with it. And following along with my T's, you'll notice that we've done topic, we've talked about tribe, we've talked about teaching, you now have a title, and today we're going to talk about the 5th T and the 5th step, and that is timing. It's time for you to actually set a date for your first workshop. So when I first got my workshop business going, I actually wasn't the person that was in charge of our promotional calendar or when our events happened. I was the one that got up on stage and led the workshops, but in terms of like the marketing and the filling of the events and the actual scheduling as to when the paid programs would happen, that wasn't up to me. That was up to my amazing business partner, Justin Livingston, who I've kind of been alluding to during this challenge. So I asked him if he would be so kind to show up and help us figure out this last micro action, which is really to just get in the game and set a date for your first workshop. So when you're considering timing, there's a whole bunch of things that you have to kind of make sure that you look over. So without further ado, let's bring Justin on camera. Hi. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure. Well, I mean, I've been sitting here the whole time.
Yes. But thanks for being part of the 5th video. So our challengers have been doing an awesome job so far. And of course,
nice.
You've been following along on the Facebook group and you've seen all the actions people are taking, the pictures they're posting, and the prizes that are being won and stuff like that. So now really it's all about like set a date. So I thought that I would bring you in because you're the one that really always set up our not only our promotional calendars, but the timing of when we actually had our paid events. So I thought I would pick your brain a little bit for the sake of our viewer to make sure that I don't miss anything when they're thinking about the timing of their first workshop.
Okay, great. Let's do it.
Cool. So right off the top of your head, what are some things that you think are important for them to consider when choosing the timing?
Well, the first thing I would consider is the audience, because depending on who the audience is, your market is, or who you intend, what was this, the second T or third T? What did you call it?
Tribe.
Tribe. So
yeah.
Depending on your tribe, you'll want to make sure that the schedule is most likely, or that your event is most likely to fit their schedule. So, if you're dealing with entrepreneurs, typically it's good to have it during the week. And it's more true as you get with people, if they're in business, like the more successful they are, the less they appreciate going to events on weekends. That's when they like to be with their family and stuff. So they like to, if they're considering it a work function, then they want to do it during the week typically. Whereas people that have a job are the opposite. Of course, it's difficult for them to get away, or they have to take time off work to attend your event, so that becomes an objection. So if it's people that are more likely in a working capacity, then you want to have your event more on weekends.
I was thinking of parents too, now that I am a parent. In the summertime, kids are out of school, so they would have to consider childcare and things like that. So that would be something to consider if you're working primarily with moms or dads.
Yeah, if you're working with people who have kids, you want to avoid the summer for that reason. And well, not only that, but also that's when they tend to be away. They know at some point, if the summer is a couple months long or whatever, like in Canada, July and August, I mean, at any given time, a good 25% of your market is going to be away somewhere, on some type of a holiday or doing something with their kids. So that kind of makes them unavailable. So you would want to avoid those months in that case.
Yeah, and actually that's a really good segue to one of the points that I know about, which is holidays. I know that recently we had, even after doing this for 9 years, we still mess up, and you get to benefit from our mess up, which is that we actually put one of our paid programs, your LEAP program, we put it on a really important Jewish holiday. It was Rosh Hashanah. And I know that a lot of our clients were quite upset to the point that they were not going to come unless we switched the date. And of course we apologized and we switched the date, and we learned the lesson that you want to make sure when you're choosing your timing for your events that you're avoiding some of the major holidays. Again, especially you want to keep in mind who you're actually serving, who your tribe is. But Christmas is one that you want to avoid.
But you get, yeah, I mean in Canada anyway, I mean there's a significant holiday almost every month now. So you just have to be careful. It's not like it's hard to avoid them. You just want to make sure that, I mean, for us, I'm not sure how it still happened where we made that mistake. I mean, because now we have them all, we have all the major holidays on our event calendar, so it's pretty easy to avoid them,
Yeah, cool.
Because on the calendar would look like we already have an event on that day because it's a holiday or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
And I
at least
guess
that's
the
what we
other
used to
thing
do.
to keep in mind with that whole holiday thing is that your venue choice goes down because they're booked for other things. So,
Yeah, that's, I mean, another thing to consider when it comes to venues. Certain months of the year are better. So the one thing though I'll say is that, I don't know if this is a necessary complexity, but the higher your tuition, like the more that people invest in your program, the less important it is to get the dates right. Because the more heavily invested people are, the more incentivized they are to make it work.
yeah, gotcha.
So it's like this, it's kind of be counterintuitive. People would think, well, the more someone's invested, the more you have to tailor it. Well, that's actually the opposite. For a free event, my goodness, there's so many rules to get people to, you have to have it right to get people to show up at a free event. And if it's your first paid event, then you're going to want to put some focus into making sure that you make it as easy as possible. So you're probably going to want to avoid the summer months in almost any market because it just makes it harder for people based on holidays. If people have kids, their kids are home, that type of thing. And then the same is true in the peak of winter too, like in the US around Thanksgiving, and then into Christmas and stuff. So you tend to want to stick to the spring and fall for the most part.
So another category that I like to consider when I'm thinking about timing or coaching someone on when to time their events is personal commitments. So if you have a special birthday, or let's say your parents' 50th anniversary, you don't want to be scheduling an event during that time. If you do, you might get yourself in trouble. Valentine's Day may not be great. Now, of course, it depends on your own lifestyle, but I do like to throw it in there just as just something to keep in mind is personal commitments. What other thing would you suggest? We've got, price, we have like holidays, we've got personal commitments to consider. What's another thing that you would
Well, to me, the most
recommend?
important thing I consider when I'm thinking of, when our event is the proximity to, now for starters, and the amount of time that I think it's going to take us to fill it. I think that's the most important factor, really. I mean, I can't tell you, I know you've got this a lot too, where people come to us, wanting to know, oh, hey, how do I put another 20 people into our event or whatever? And we'll say, oh, when's the event? And it's like 10 days away. It's like, well, if you had asked me that 4 months ago, we could do something about it, but it's way too late. You've lost, the chance is gone. I mean, now will you get more people? Maybe, but you're in panic mode now, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's about making sure that you schedule it far enough out to give yourself a reasonable chance of actually filling it. That's what's most important.
Yeah. So I know that you love to say the word proximity.
I do
so
love the
I'm
word
going
proximity.
to practice it. So
My two favorite words are proximity and thrice. So as long as I've said proximity 3 times, I'm good, right?
You're
I
good.
said it thrice.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
So what would you recommend in terms of proximity for our people who are mostly just, it's their first time having a successful launch of an event?
Okay, so, well, I mean, for me, I can't imagine how, even now, we have a large audience, we have a big email list and social media following, and we have lots of promotional partners. Like, we could do things fairly quickly if we wanted. And I still can't imagine scheduling an event, come here, hey, let's do an event, and have it be less than 90 days from now.
Yeah.
That would be, in fact, even 120 days to me, once I'm cutting it any shorter than that, I'm going to also, in my mind, I'm going to have to be cutting corners on how to fill it. Like I'm going to be, I'm not going to be able to set up something that's optimal. So that would be.
So for
kind
the
of
launch of their
minimal.
first one, you're thinking 4, 5, 6 months out is
Yeah.
a pretty good chance where they can,
Yeah.
especially if it's the first one, they can learn what they have to
Totally.
do and the timing of their promotions to fill the event, and then
Yeah.
give themselves lots of space in case some of the first promotions don't go as well as they'd hoped.
Yeah, well, the very first time we did an event, so I can't remember when it was. I remember when the event was, but I can't remember when we first started our business and we started taking on some clients. Remember we wanted 12 and we only got 9 or whatever. I think in my memory that was in April, in the month of April of 2007, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know, maybe it was March, maybe it was May, whatever, but it was around there. I'm pretty sure it was April. And we had our very first live event it was the first weekend of December of that year. It was like December 2, 3, 4, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a good, you can kind of use that as a benchmark more or less, so that we were giving ourselves a good, 7, 8 months to fill it.
Yeah. I remember we've been talking also about setting up a spiral and how this first workshop is going to be the bottom rung of their spiral.
Right.
And I just remember when we were planning our second program on the spiral, it was a way higher ticket program, and because we were new, we were kind of nervous, so we put it like 18 months in
18 months out.
advance.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh my God, like, is someone going to buy this and then sit around and wait to attend for 18 months? And so then we had to.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, they did, but we had to come up with like retention strategy,
Yeah.
which ended up being an 18-month program. And anyway, it was kind of a funny.
Yeah, in hindsight, we didn't need to wait 18 months. But yeah, we just didn't know any better, right? We thought, oh, that might take us that long to get the number of people in it that we wanted at that price point.
Yeah.
As it turns out, you don't need 18 months, but just, to keep that in mind. Like we didn't do anything where we were having to rush or panic to fill our events. And a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And that's a huge mistake. So yeah, I would definitely push it out.
Yeah. And so if you were to bottom line everything, though, I know you have a particular philosophy when it comes to the timing of your event. Can you just kind of bottom line your best advice for people?
Yeah, pick a date. Just get it on the calendar, even if it's not perfect, even if it's a little bit too tight or it's a little bit too far, or you end up putting it on someone's birthday or whatever, just get it in the books, start filling that thing, just get on it and get it done for sure.
Yeah, cool.
Get in motion,
And so actually that's a perfect segue to a couple of things that I want to share with you, which is now that your micro action for today and this last day of the challenge is to pick a date.
That's awesome.
Make it happen. And one of the cool things I want to share with you is that we actually have another 5-day challenge that's coming up. And it's all about when to put your marketing or your promotional campaigns in place to make sure that that first paid program is actually full. So I want to share those dates with you so you can write it down in your calendar. But just to be clear, your micro action for today is pick a date.
Pick a date.
Yep. And then the next 5-day challenge we have is literally all about when to schedule your promotional events or promotional campaigns that will fill that first paid program. And of course, what do you do to fill it? Like, what campaigns do you do? In fact, we actually have a document that you created, which is called the Event Filling Blueprint. So do you want to just describe what that is? And then I'll give people the dates on the next challenge.
Well, it's we've created, in the past, we have an older version of it that's a PDF that tells you exactly what to do on what dates, like backdated from your event. So you would start with whatever date you pick today, and then using our event filling blueprint, you would backdate using the blueprint to know exactly when to take each of the steps that would eventually lead you to having a filled event. Yeah. So we're in the process right now. What's happening is we're doing this challenge over 5 days because there's 5 main elements to this process. So we're going to share one a day, so you'll have that all in place, and then we're going to formalize the process after that challenge. We'll put it into a written document for you. That'll be the brand newest version of the event filling blueprint, and we'll make sure we get that to you as well.
Yeah, and it's literally going to be paint by numbers, exactly what to do, when to do it, to make sure that the event that you're putting in your calendar right as soon as this video ends, make sure that that actually is full. And then the last thing that I want to share is that the release of my latest edition of my Wealth Through Workshops book is also coming out. I think the date is on October 12th. I just have to look at my notes there. So it's on October 12th. And the cool thing about this latest version of Wealth Through Workshops is that I wrote it a couple of years ago, but since then I have learned a ton of things about how I teach and what works better for people. There's been things that have changed because the industry is adjusting. So you're definitely going to want to watch your inbox and watch your social media and make sure that you get a copy of my newest version of Wealth Through Workshops, because I'm going to be giving my personal reflections about what I've learned and what I find used to work but doesn't work, and even like how I'm teaching things now. I've noticed that there's a different order that I'm teaching things that wasn't in the original version of the book. So you want to get that personal reflections edition of the my Wealth Through Workshops book, and we're releasing that again. I got to see my notes here, is on October 12th. So make sure you watch for that as well. So thank you so much, partner.
My pleasure.
Thanks for doing the timing for all of our events for our entire 9 years we've been in business. And thanks for being here today. And look forward to seeing you on our next challenge and getting your support with that as well.
All right. And congratulations on having your date.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Until next time, be brilliant, and congratulations on finishing the challenge. Woohoo!